Many of us have scrolled past the Travel Channel and seen a ghost hunting show before. Many of them seem overdramatic or downright staged, but there are people that believe and look for evidence of ghosts. April Fitzgerald is one of these people. April, along with one of her friends, took me to places in central Indiana that are rumored to be haunted. The first location I visited was Fox Hollow Farm in Carmel. The house and the nearby barn looked normal and like any other home nearby. However, its history isn't normal in the slightest. The property was bought in 1991 by Herb Baumeister. Baumeister seemed like a regular American man. He was married, a father, and owned a successful business. Baumeister had a darker side, however. Baumeister would send his family on vacations, and while he stayed at home, he would go to gay bars in Indianapolis, bring home young men, and murder them in his basement pool. Baumeister did this for several years, burying the bodies of the young men in his backyard. Eventually, the police got on his trail, which caused Baumeister to flee the country. Baumeister eventually killed himself in Canada. After Baumeister killed himself, the property was investigated by the police, and they recovered over 5,000 bone fragments from Fox Hollow Farm. The police have confirmed to have found 11 bodies. However, it's estimated that there could be 20 or more bodies scattered across the back end of the property. Since then, people have investigated the property and have found evidence that points to the home being haunted. The most recent owners of the house, Rob Graves and his family, have some of the most compelling evidence and have lived at Fox Hollow Farm for 10 years.
The most compelling evidence that I would have that anything's going on are two things that my wife told me. The first thing she told me was, I was on the back side of the house painting. We were here after about a year, and she hollered up to me and said, "There's a man in the woods in a red shirt." And I got down off the ladder where I was painting, and I said, "Well, where is he?" And she said, "Well, he's gone." And I said, "Well, where did he go?" And she said, "I didn't tell you, but this is the second time I've seen him." And she described a person, young man, walking away from her, walking toward the woods. He was had what she described as a military-style haircut, and she thought to herself, he's going to hurt himself walking into the tree, but as he walked into the tree, she realized he didn't have any legs. He was see-through from the waist down. Joe, the young man I rented the in-law quarters to, probably got the brunt of the activity. And it was theorized that he was of a similar age to some of the victims. And he did get the brunt of it. His door was knocked on, I think, 35 times in the middle of the night. And his experiences are well documented on Ghost Adventures and Paranormal Witness. But Joe has since moved out. And William, my youngest son now, that's his room. And he still gets the door knocking.
While we didn't get to investigate the house, Rob, the owner, gave us some EVP recorders that were done by a woman who investigated the house previously. One of the recordings is very clear and extremely creepy.
I think you know who I am. And I think you know why I'm here.
The next location we visited was the Ivy House in Fortville. The Ivy House is a nice cozy home with a tree covered in English ivy out in the front yard. Inside, the house is set up as a bed and breakfast with 3 rooms upstairs. The house doesn't seem like the kind of place you would go to investigate the paranormal, but the owners of the house, Jim and Linda, have been living at the Ivy House for 39 years now and have had experiences with the spirits for some time now.
We never had any kind of anything until that piano came here. And ever since that piano came, that's when this stuff started. And then we would hear people going up and down the stairs, and I had one guest that she came downstairs one morning for breakfast, and she was a little bit on the crabby side, and I said, "Well, is something wrong?" And she said, "You know what?" She looked at those other people and she said, "What time did you come in last night?" And they said, "We didn't go out." She said, "Somebody was running up and down the hall all night long." And she said, "I would open the door and look out and there's nothing there." I thought, oh.
The grandmother of the girls that sold us this house, she occupied one of the bedrooms at the top of the steps, and I don't know whether she passed away, maybe not in that house or anything like that, but the ghost hunters that came have literally gone up there and recorded, and seen her sitting in a chair, looking out and crying out the one window. Since then,
Because that was her home.
there's been homes built in between now. So I don't even know if it's visible now, but we've actually removed that chair from that room to keep our guests comfortable, because they all seem to sense she is there.
We had our carpet cleaned in the basement. We didn't have any guests, so we slept in that room because the carpet was wet. He said, "I thought you got up in the middle of the night. I thought you were standing at the end of the bed." And I said, "No." And he said, "No, somebody was standing at the end of the bed." He said, "And I looked and you were still in the bed. So it wasn't you."
After we talked with the owners, we did an investigation of the house. The investigation had us going from room to room, asking the spirits questions to see if they would respond to us on an EVP recording device. After our investigation, April would take our recordings from the house and would play the audio back to see if there were any signs of spirits. Many of the recordings brought back some words, however they are extremely hard to hear. Although there was one recording that, while hard to hear, came back very clear. While our group was in the other room, you can hear a voice talking about a timer. Where we go when we pass away is one of the biggest questions out there that will never truly be explained. For now, though, paranormal investigators will have to keep searching haunted houses, looking for their answer of where our soul travels to when we finally cross over.